Welcome to the Berman Golf Podcast, where we're helping golfers over the age of 60 increase distance off the tee so that they can hit shorter irons into the green. Yeah, baby. You can visit us at bermangolf.com for more information and get ready. This is going to be a fun one. And we're rolling, baby. The Long Balls Golf Podcast. Dr. Jake Berman here, riding solo. I am by myself today. And the reason why I wanted to be by myself is because I wanted to further explain why speed is irrelevant, specifically club head speed, when we're getting over the age of 60. So many of the people that I talk to, especially over the past couple of years, when I'm trying to communicate why the Berman method is different from everything else that they've ever tried, golf lessons, false golf profits on YouTube, all of these techniques, everything. Why is the Berman method different? And it really comes down to this. And that's what I want to explain. The difference of power versus speed. So many people think that increasing club head speed is going to give you more distance off of the tee. And there's even an equation for it. For every mile an hour of club head speed you increase, it should increase the distance by 2.8 yards. I'm pretty sure that's the equation. Don't hold me to that. However, that's what's coming to mind off the top of my head is for every mile an hour of club head speed you gain, you should gain 2.8 more yards total. I don't know if that relates specifically to carry or rollout or some combination. I just know that I've heard that equation multiple times in the past. So there's many aging golfers that lose distance. I mean, that's why I'm in business. That's why the Berman method exists, is because after the age of 60, sometime between 60 and 70, distance falls off a cliff for the general majority of amateur golfers. I used to hit at 250. Now I can barely hit at 210 on a good day. I used to hit at 220. Now I'm lucky to hit at 170. I used to hit at 280. Now I'm hitting at 220 at best. Whatever it is, it's usually a significant decrease in total distance off of the tee somewhere between the age of 60 and 70. And everybody attributes it to getting older. I'm getting older. This is a normal part of the aging process. This is a normal digression of a golfer's life where you get older. You just have to start moving up tee boxes. It's a natural evolution of the golf game. And what I'm trying to say is not so fast. Doesn't have to be that way. So the way I came up with this is one day I was working with Ed. Ed is on our website. We got a video testimonial of Ed. He is the general manager of Cypress Lake. It's known for having the most single-digit handicappers in at least Southwest Florida, if not Florida. I've heard multiple people say that it's in the entire state of Florida. So there is a ton of good golfers there. And at the time that this was happening, that I was working with Ed, he was 71 years old at the time, and he could go out and shoot scratch. He's always been able to shoot scratch. He's been consistently 235 yards off the tee, or between 230 and 240 yards off the tee for years. He's never lost distance. He's never gained distance. It is what it is. So Ed comes into my office one day. I finally dragged him in, convinced him to come in and start working on golf stuff. And on day one, he's sitting there taking some warm-up swings with his driver. So we're inside my office in the simulator room. He's taking some warm-up swings with his driver, and I'm looking at the swing and I'm going, oh man, that swing looks really, really good. What am I going to do? How am I going to help this guy? I don't really know how I'm going to work with this guy yet. So he's taking his practice swings, and then he tees the ball up and he hits the first ball, and the driver head goes straight into my roof, straight into the ceiling. And both of us kind of just almost hit the ground. We're like, what the heck just happened there? What just happened? Because his practice swings were beautiful. They weren't even close to coming in contact with the ceiling. And then all of a sudden, when he hits the ball, the driver head goes right into the ceiling. And we're going, what the heck just happened? It scared both of us. I did not see this coming at all. So we kind of both shrugged it off, and I said, I have no idea. Maybe it was just a fluke. Let's try it again. So he takes some practice swings again. And again, his practice swings were beautiful. They weren't even close to the ceiling, probably a foot away at the closest, 12 inches from hitting the ceiling. And I'm going, okay, we've got plenty of room up there. Tees the ball up, hits the ball, and same exact thing happens again. Club head goes right into the ceiling, and I'm going, what the heck is going on? I mean, I just don't understand what's going on here. This is crazy. Long story short, after doing some testing, come to find out that Ed had pretty decent club head speed, but he did not have power behind the club head speed. So as soon as the club head ran into a fixed object, the golf ball, it actually changed the trajectory of the club path. Physically changed the trajectory of the club path so that it was on now a different angle. And that's what changed the path to go more upright and ultimately into my ceiling. And this is what changed everything for me, because prior to this, I knew that I was onto something. I knew that I had something that was different from everybody else in the golf performance industry, but I didn't really know exactly what it was until this moment. Prior to this moment, I agreed with everybody else. I was like, if I could just get these older guys to swing the club faster, the ball is going to go farther. Until this incident happened. And I'm like, okay, what's happening here is because Ed doesn't have the power behind the club head speed, once it runs into that fixed object, it actually changes the trajectory, and that's what caused the club head to go more upright and into the ceiling. So long story short, that actually led to me raising my ceiling up. So I had my contractor come in and cut a giant hole in the ceiling. I was like, that's not going to happen again. But anyways, that got me thinking, okay, club head speed really is not what I should be focusing on. I should be focusing on power. Now, let me give you an equation. There's going to be a lot of golfers listening to this where they're going to be like, I don't really care about this data. However, there's going to be a lot of golfers who they really care about the data. A lot of data-driven, process detail-oriented golfers that if they know the physics behind it, literally the physics behind it, it'll make more sense. So this is how I came up with the equation, this is essentially how I came up with what we now have as the Berman method of golf performance, where there's two equations, and these are laws of physics. These are not theories. These are not techniques. This is not something made up by some false golf prophet on YouTube. These are laws of physics. Momentum equals mass times velocity. And then power equals work divided by time, specifically the change in time. So these are the two equations that I started researching in relation to the golf swing. So to avoid boring a bunch of people that don't really care about the details, 99% of amateur golfers use a momentum-based swing to swing the golf club, specifically the driver. Now, an extreme example of this is when you see that 70-year-old golfer or 75-year-old golfer on the tee box, and in his backswing, it looks like he's wrapping the damn club around his neck. Left elbow bends, club head goes way around his body, around his neck, and club head ultimately ends up lower than the club handle at the top of the backswing, like just really wrapping that thing back there. Because of course, if you can get that club head back farther, you're going to generate more club head speed and the ball is going to go farther. This is a perfect example of a momentum-based swing. Now, this will make way more sense once we describe what a power-based swing is. But first, let's just do the equation. Momentum equals mass times velocity. So if we want to hit the golf ball with more momentum, because if you can hit an object with more momentum, then it's going to go farther. The only way to hit the golf ball with more momentum using a momentum-based swing is you have to either increase the mass, how heavy the club head is or how heavy the golf club is, or you have to increase how fast you swing it. It's the only two ways you can increase the amount of momentum you hit a golf ball with. Now, we all know, or at least we should know, that as you get older, you swing a lighter club, not a heavier club. So mass is actually going down. And then we should also know, you shouldn't be listening to this podcast if you don't know this, as you get older, you swing slower. So velocity is going down. So if you are using a momentum-based swing, you have zero chance to maintain distance as you get older. Zero chance. It's physically impossible for you to maintain distance as you get older when you're using a momentum-based swing. It's physically impossible. This is not some theory or some false golf prophet on YouTube, some bullcrap technique that some pro invented. This is a law of physics. You can't physically do it. So once I understood that, I'm going, okay, everybody is trying to do something that is not physically possible. We've got golfers trying to defy the laws of physics. This is why when you're over the age of 60 and you're trying to do all these drills to increase club head speed, you're not seeing the results because you're defying the laws of physics. This was the aha moment. This was the light bulb going on. It's like, oh crap. Why the heck would we try to defy the laws of physics? You can't do it. It's a law. You can't do it. So then I'm going, okay, how can we do it? And this is where it all started making sense. As I was working with Ed and developing my understanding of what was happening, I started working on getting more muscles firing in the address position, top of the backswing, and at the impact position. So I was recruiting more muscles. Essentially, that is generating more power, and I'll get to the equation here in a minute. The reason why I knew I was on the right path is because as I was working with Ed and getting more muscles working, the total distance was skyrocketing. Yet the club head speed was not. And this is all on video. This is all video testimonials. I've got multiple examples of this, not just Ed. I've got multiple people where the same thing is true. And that's why I'm going out saying it on podcasts. That's why I wrote it in my book. This is not just a fluke. This happens 100% of the time, not just randomly. It happens 100% of the time because it's a law. It is a law of physics. So because we were able to generate more power, he was able to deliver more power into the golf ball, and the golf ball went farther. So to keep things simple, what I see on average between Ed and all these other golfers I've worked with is in the initial phases of the program, we gain somewhere around 10 more yards of total distance, 10 more yards. And it's usually only one more mile an hour club head speed. And if you remember the equation that we first started out with on this podcast, where for every mile an hour of club head speed, that should equate to 2.8 more yards total on your distance. We're gaining 10 more yards, and we're only gaining that 10 more yards with 1 more mile-an-hour clubhead speed. There's times where we're gaining that distance and we've got 0 change in clubhead speed. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there, especially the TPIers and other golf professionals, that are saying, well, yeah, you're increasing the smash factor. Yeah, we are increasing the smash factor. How do you increase the smash factor? You increase the smash factor by hitting the ball with more power. That's the way you do it. So we're gaining 10 more yards total in the initial phases with a maximum of 1 mile an hour clubhead speed. The only way on this planet Earth that is physically possible without using the smash factor as an excuse is if we look at the law or the equation for power. Power equals work over time, or the change in time. So for this example, we're going to use work is the amount of muscles that you are recruiting and activating and utilizing during the golf swing. So that's work. And then time, the change in time, specifically the change in time, is how long it takes you to get from the top of your backswing back down to the golf ball. So we're keeping this really simple right now. Power equals the amount of muscles that you have working divided by how long it takes you to get from the top of the backswing back to the golf ball. That's how we're going to use, that's the equation we're going to use for the purposes of the golf swing. Now, we already established 10 minutes ago that as you get older, you swing slower. So if we look at time, the change in time, how long it takes you to get from the top of the backswing back down to the golf ball, that number is going to get bigger. So if we want power to get bigger, power is on the other side of the equation, the only way you can do it is if you increase the amount of muscles that you are utilizing during the golf swing. You have to. It's a law of physics. This is not a theory. I can't say this enough. I've got so many people arguing with me about clubhead speed, and after the age of 60, it's irrelevant. It's absolutely irrelevant if you don't have power behind the speed. You can increase the speed all you want, but if you don't have power behind it, it's not going to do you any good. You're not going to utilize it. You're not going to be able to it's not going to be efficient. You're not going to do anything good with it. So if we can increase the amount of muscles we have working during the golf swing and assume that time does not change at all, meaning it doesn't get smaller or bigger, so it's going to take the same amount of time to get from the top of the backswing back down to the golf ball, the only option or result on this planet Earth is for you to generate more power. Then when we transfer that power into the golf ball, aka improve the smash factor, if you want to use those words, the only option on this planet Earth is for that golf ball to go farther. It's the only option. It's a law of physics. And that, my friends, is how I came up with the Berman method. I don't care about golf technique, golf philosophy. I don't care about that at all. What I care about is getting more muscles activated, recruited, utilized so that you can increase the amount of work being done so that you can then transfer that work into the golf ball. The golf ball then has to go farther. Once the golf ball goes farther, you might increase how far it goes into the woods, how far it goes into the water. Whatever it is, once you get that increase in distance, then we can start fine-tuning it. Then you can go to your golf coach and start getting some lessons, and then it's going to be more efficient, more effective, because then the teaching pro can harness what you've just gained and then fine-tune the technique so that you can straighten out that banana slice or whatever it is. But none of it matters until you can find and recruit the right muscles. I mean, how many times have you tried to load the right leg, get your core activated, get the glutes firing, and nothing changes? How many times has that happened? Because you haven't been taught how to do it. You can't just watch a YouTube video and do it. You can't do it because you have to train your brain how to do it. That's why it's so effective with my one-on-one sessions, because you're in my office and I get to push on you and I say, okay, don't let me move you. And then you can just react and feel those muscles firing. Versus if I try to articulate and I say, okay, I want you to push this foot into the ground and I want you to squeeze your glutes and contract your core. You then have to interpret it and then try to reproduce it. That's where the problems occur. It's in the interpretation phase. That's why so many golfers leave golf lessons frustrated, because you're trying to interpret what the pro is trying to tell you to do, and you can't do it. You know, it's almost like they're talking Swahili to you, and you're like, I have no idea what you're saying, but I'm just going to try to do it. And then you get frustrated because the results get worse. That's another thing. Maybe we'll talk about this some other time on another podcast. We are so results oriented when we're on the driving range or in a golf lesson that it's so hard for us to trust the process. So many times when you're changing something up, the results get worse. And we tend to think, okay, this is not working because the results are getting worse. However, what we must understand is it's called a process for a reason. It's a process. You have to do it step by step, follow the process. And if you follow and trust the process, ultimately the results will speak for themselves. I mean, it's the same thing in business. I have many business coaches who say the same thing. You cannot focus on the end result. You have to focus on the process. If you focus on the process, the end result will take care of itself. And it's so true. It's never more true than on the golf range or the driving range, because you try to change something on the driving range and you end up chunking it or thinning it or slicing it. And you immediately say, okay, that didn't work. Let me try something differently. And that's not the way to do it. I should stop going down that rabbit hole. Let's just come back to full circle. I know there's a lot of people who don't believe that they're using a momentum-based swing. This is probably what I should have started this podcast with. Here's how you test it. I wrote about this in the book and I've mentioned it multiple times. This is what you do. Have somebody facing you, video your golf swing in slow motion. So not facing you down the line, not in between you and your target, like straight up when you're standing up. I want the person facing you while you're standing up. Then you get into your address position. So they're directly across from you, across from the golf ball from you, and have them video your golf swing in slow motion. Then what I want you to do is I want you to take that video and track through it and pause right at the top of your backswing. Once you get right to the top of your backswing, so the transition from the backswing to the downswing, I want you to take a screenshot. Then the next thing I want you to do is have the same person switch your phone from slow-mo video to picture and just take a photo. And then I want you to go to the top of your backswing, physically go to the top of your backswing, pause and hold. And then I want that person to take a picture of you in that position. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to compare the two pictures. Compare the screenshot of the slow motion video at the top of your backswing, and then compare it to the one where you just physically went to the top of your backswing and held it there while the person took a picture of you. 99.99999% of the time, those pictures are going to be different when you have a momentum-based swing. And 99.999% of the time, the picture that's a screenshot. So the picture that was of your video where you're doing it real time, 99.99% of the time, that backswing is going to be farther into the backswing than the one where you just tried to physically take it to the backswing and hold it there while they took a picture of you. That's proof in the pudding right there. Reason being, you cannot physically get to that position and hold it there, meaning that the distance between the photo where you physically went to the backswing and held it, the distance between that position and your real-time swing, that is all momentum. And the reason why it's momentum is because your muscles can't physically put you in that position and hold you in that position. So right there, my friends, that is proof in the pudding. Again, I should have had you guys do that first. However, that's homework. Go ahead and do it now, and then go back and re-listen to this whole entire episode. And it'll make so much more sense once you see those two pictures. If you're an amateur golfer over the age of 60 and you've lost significant distance, chances are you are a momentum-based swinger and you're not using muscles. You need to use muscles, and that's what the Berman method is all about. So I hope that shed some light. I know there was a lot of data behind it. I hope I didn't lose the people that are, the visionaries, the higher level people. It's important, though. You have to know that you're using momentum to swing the club and not muscles. When you know that, everything else is so much easier. I would love to hear back from you. And in the meantime, check out the T-Shot Transformation Program. That's my online program. It's a 6-module program where we're going straight through the basic fundamentals of this stuff. It's only $297. There's no reason to not buy it. Should be a couple of $1,000 because of the amount of value that you're going to get out of it. Go check it out, bermangolf.com, T-Shot Transformation Program. Comment on our YouTubes, Instagram, socials, TikToks, all those things. I love hearing from you guys. I love the people that call me out too. I love it. Let's keep doing it. I'm using the laws of physics and you're using some theory. So keep it coming, baby. Let's see who wins in the end. Have a great day. Thank you very much for tuning in this week. For more information, please go to bermangolf.com. That's B as in boy, ERMAN, bermangolf.com, and check out a ton of stuff that we have there. Or even better, go to our socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. We're even on TikTok. Check us out everywhere. We've got tons of content going out every week. And please give us a thumbs up. Comment on the videos. Let me know what your questions are. Try to shoot holes in this. I'll do whatever I can to help you out the best that I can. Thank you, guys.